The sky over the village of Oku is pitch black, lit only by giant streaks of purple lightning. Rain beats down on the zinc roofs of modern houses and the straw roofs of the old huts, making a loud drumming sound. The wind howls like a hungry animal, blowing trees over and making the village elders tremble with fear. Mama Neka lies inside her house, clutching her stomach as the ground shakes. "The sky is breaking open," she cries out over the roar of the wind. Her husband holds her hand tight and whispers, "Be brave, Neka. Something great is coming to us tonight." Suddenly, a massive bolt of blue lightning hits the center of the yard, turning the night into bright day for a second. At that exact moment, a loud baby's cry rings out, louder than the thunder itself. The storm stops instantly, leaving the village in a strange, heavy silence. Elder Adebayo enters the room, holding a flickering lantern that casts long shadows. He looks at the baby and gasps when he sees a glowing mark on the boy's wrist. "This child was not just born," the elder says in a shaky voice. "He was sent by the spirit of thunder." 12 years pass, and we see young Azaka walking through the village. The village is a mix of beautiful brick houses with satellite dishes and old mud houses with wooden doors. Azaka is a quiet boy, but as he walks, small sparks of blue light jump from his footsteps into the dusty ground. His mother, Neka, watches him from the porch of their modern home. She calls out, "Azaka, come and eat your fufu before it gets cold." Azaka smiles, but as he waves back, a tiny crackle of electricity pops between his fingers like a small firework. Azaka sits in the kitchen trying to help his mother blow on the firewood to start a flame. He gets frustrated because the wood is damp from the morning mist. He reaches out to touch the logs, and suddenly a huge boom fills the room as the wood explodes into a bright roaring fire. Mama Neka drops her cooking spoon in shock, her eyes wide with worry. Azaka looks at his glowing hands and whispers, "Mother, I didn't mean to do it. The fire just jumped out of me." Neka hugs him tight and says, "We must go see the elder tomorrow. Your power is growing too fast." Azaka walks to the village square where children are playing soccer with a leather ball. Some children are wearing modern jerseys, while others wear simple traditional cloth. Azaka approaches. The air around him begins to hum, and the hair on the other children's arms stands up. His best friend Kofi runs up to him grinning widely. "Azaka, come and play. We need your fast legs on our team," Kofi says. Azaka hesitates, looking at his hands, and replies, "I don't think I should, Kofi. I feel like a storm is trapped inside my chest today." During the game, the ball rolls near a metal pole used for the village streetlights. When Azaka reaches for the ball, a bright spark leaps from the pole to his hand, making a loud zap sound. All the children scream and run back, looking at Azaka as if he is a ghost. Kofi looks at his friend with a face full of fear and confusion. "Azaka, you are sparting like a broken wire," Kofi yells as he backs away. Azaka feels tears in his eyes and shouts, "I'm sorry. I don't know why the metal likes me so much." In the center of the village, under a big mango tree, the older men sit on wooden stools. They watch Azaka walk past and whisper to each other while shaking their heads. They remember the old stories of the thunder god who was once very angry with the people. "That boy is a walking storm," one old man says, pointing his wooden cane. Another elder nods and adds, "If he gets angry, he might burn our whole village to the ground." They all look at Azaka with cold eyes, making the young boy feel very lonely. Mama Neka leads Azaka down a narrow path that goes deep into the green forest. The trees are tall and ancient, and the air feels heavy, as if the forest is breathing. They are going to the hidden shrine, where the spirits of the old gods are said to live. "Why do they look at me like I am a monster, Mama?" Azaka asks, his voice small and sad. Neka wipes a tear from his cheek and says, "People fear what they do not understand, my son, but the elder will help us find the truth." They arrive at a clearing where a giant stone statue of a warrior stands, holding a staff shaped like a lightning bolt. Elder Adebayo is sitting there, wearing a white robe and smelling of sweet incense. He looks at Azaka and smiles, but his eyes are very serious. "Welcome, child of the storm," the elder says, gesturing for Azaka to sit on the cool grass. Azaka looks at the statue and asks, "Is this the man who lived in the clouds?" The elder nods and says, "Yes, and his spirit is now living inside of you."
The elder begins to tell his story about a time hundreds of years ago when the village was rich and powerful. He explains that the thunder god protected them, but the people became greedy and tried to trap his power in a box. The god was hurt and angry because his friends had betrayed him. Azaka listens closely, feeling a strange heat growing in his heart. "So, this spirit is angry?" Azaka asks with a worried face. The elder sighs and says, "He has been angry for a long time, and he wants to use you to get his revenge on the village." The elder tells Azaka to stand up and place his hand on the cold stone of the statue. As soon as Azaka's skin touches the rock, the ground begins to vibrate. The blue mark on his wrist starts to glow so bright it looks like a small sun. Azaka gasps as he feels a rush of energy flying up his arm like a million stinging bees. "I can hear him," Azaka shouts over the sound of a rising wind. The elder yells back, "Listen to him, but do not let his anger become your anger." A giant shadow, shaped like a man made of clouds and electricity, rises from the statue. The spirit's eyes are like two stars, and his voice sounds like mountains crashing together. The forest around them turns dark, and the leaves start to glow with blue fire. "They trapped me! They forgot me!" the spirit roars, looking down at the small boy. Azaka shakes with fear, but stays standing, saying, "I am just a boy. Why did you choose me?" The spirit laughs like thunder and says, "Because your heart is strong enough to hold my fury." The spirit shows Azaka a vision of the village, but in the vision, Azaka is a king. He sees himself sitting on a golden throne, and everyone who was mean to him is bowing down in fear. The spirit whispers that with this power, nobody will ever scare him again. "You can make them pay for their whispers," the spirit says in a tempting low rumble. Azaka looks at the vision, feeling a dark spark of power, and asks, "I can make them stop being afraid of me." The spirit grins and says, "Yes, by making them fear you even more." Azaka walks back to the village, but he looks different. His eyes are now a glowing silver color. He sees the modern houses and the people working, and for a moment, he feels like he is much better than all of them. He feels the urge to lift his hand and strike the ground just to show his strength. He enters his house, and his mother sees the change in his eyes. "Azaka, your heart feels cold," she says, reaching out to touch his hand. Azaka pulls away, his voice sounding deeper as he says, "I am tired of being the boy who hides, Mama." Later that evening, the most terrifying storm in history begins to form over the village. The clouds are not grey, they are a deep, bruised purple, and they spin in a giant circle. Everyone runs inside their homes, locking their doors and huddling together in the dark. Azaka walks out into the middle of the village square, the wind whisk curled around. He looks up at the sky and screams, "I am here! Do what you want!" Lightning strikes all around him, hitting the trees and the fences, starting small fires everywhere. A huge bolt of lightning hits the village clinic, and the roof begins to burn with blue flames that water cannot put out. People are screaming, trying to save their belongings and
Children, Kofi's house is shaking, and the windows are shattering from the pressure of the thunder. Kofi runs out of his house and sees Azaka standing in the middle of the chaos. "Azaka, help us! The village is breaking!" Kofi cries out, falling to his knees. Azaka looks at his friend, and for a second, the silver in his eyes flickers back to his normal brown color. The spirit of thunder appears in the clouds above Azaka, looking like a giant warrior of light. "Destroy it all," the spirit commands, pointing a finger of lightning at the village school. "They do not deserve your protection." Azaka looks at the burning clinic, then at his crying friend, and then at his mother watching from the doorway. He feels the spirit's anger, but he also feels his mother's love. "No!" Azaka shouts at the sky. "I will not be a monster. I choose to be a healer." Azaka raises both his hands towards the sky, but instead of throwing lightning, he begins to pull the electricity into himself. He acts like a giant magnet, sucking all the dangerous bolts away from the houses and into his own body. It hurts him, and he screams in pain, but he does not stop. The spirit of thunder roars in fury. "You are wasting my gift." But Azaka yells back with a voice full of love, "It is my life, not yours." Slowly, the blue flames on the houses start to go out as Azaka absorbs all the energy. The giant spirit in the sky begins to shrink as Azaka's kindness and bravery wash over the anger. The spirit realizes that this boy is not a weapon, but a new kind of leader.
The dark clouds begin to break apart, and a soft golden light from the setting sun shines through. The spirit looks at Azaka one last time, no longer angry, but peaceful. "You are stronger than I was," the spirit whispers in a soft breeze. The giant cloud man vanishes, leaving behind a sky that is calm and filled with beautiful orange and pink colors. The villagers come out of their houses, looking around at the saved village in total silence. They see Azaka standing in the center, his eyes normal again, but his hands still glowing with a soft, gentle light. Kofi runs up and hugs him, and soon all the villagers are cheering his name. Elder Adebayo walks up to Azaka and places a hand on his shoulder. "You saved us from the storm, and you saved the spirit from its own hate," the elder says. Azaka smiles at his mother and says, "I am just Azaka, but now the thunder is my friend."